So a lot of people are saying that in the US that the supermarkets are just being emptied of toilet paper and paper towels. But is this true? Let's have a look.
Oh, Dr. Mike, good name. Let's see what's happening.
There is so much misinformation going on with this novel coronavirus, it boggles my mind.
I could not agree more.
And it's causing people to panic, make bad decisions.
We're going to talk about the fear and panic along with a lot of other topics in just a minute. As usual, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Leave me a like or a dislike below. They both help me out. And give it a share. So obviously there's a big breakout now in the US where I'm at. In fact, someone just in the next town over died last week of COVID-19. Every day, my wonderful fans are sending me wonderful messages saying, be careful over there, it's so dangerous, you need to get out of the USA. Well, I appreciate all of the concern. We need to be honest with what's really happening. This becomes really difficult when we see all the news headlines.
But the more the media shows breaking news, alert, outbreak warning, the more we're gonna panic. And the more we're gonna make bad decisions with bad information.
That sounds very dangerous to me. I want to take a look at a few doctors and scientists and see what's really going on. Dr. Mike is a real doctor. He's very popular and has a very scientific perspective on things. We're also going to hear from a few famous scientists, Neil deGrasse Tyson and Michael Osterholm. Gosh, Michael, such a good and popular name. Today is March 11th, 2020, and there are 1,050 cases in the US. There were 750 yesterday.
In fact, here in the United States, the numbers are going to skyrocket in the next few days.
So by the time you're watching this, there's probably going to be about 3,000 or 4,000. So let's do a little bit of basic fact checking. Fact check number one, are things on social media all true?
Please don't think that if you read someone's tweet and it has been retweeted a lot, it's an accurate source of information. It is not.
It is not.
Do not put wild, unsubstantiated conspiracy theories out there because it just confuses us and really gives more ammunition to trolls on social media.
This is obviously a problem. Let's look at a few examples. So a man in Inner Mongolia was detained for 10 days and fined for spreading the rumor that coronavirus was a genetic weapon made by the US government. There's another article that's been going around WeChat. You can see it's been shared over 100,000 times. And that this author modified it. Why? The author clearly knew that they wrote some misleading information as the WeChat censors found it and flagged it. The article originally stated that the CDC would no longer be counting the number of sick people, but now it's been changed a little. I also have to give credit and say thank you to some of the followers who pointed out the obvious error of the author. If you read it, they're just going to stop counting those who are negative. This is because the CDC is a national organization and they were transferring the testing responsibility to each state. The testing was so slow, the doctors would take the test, send it to the CDC, wait a few days, and then send it back. Not efficient. If anything, the CDC was trying to be more transparent. It also claimed that patients in the US had to pay for their own COVID-19 testing. This may have been true in the beginning, but now all the insurance companies are waiving the fees for testing. So if you have insurance, you're not going to pay for it. If you're in the military, you're retired, or you're poor, the government covers all those costs. If you are middle or upper class and just decide not to have any health coverage, then yeah, you're going to have to pay for it like you would anything. So that article is mostly false. There was one part where it was correct. Does the CDC really not recommend wearing face masks?
Don't buy masks for yourself if you don't need them. And the CDC has been firm on this. Most people, ones that are healthy and not sick, do not need a mask at this time. And the regular surgical masks that you see people using, the disposable ones, those don't offer a huge amount of protection.
So that's true. Why? Mostly because they don't want to create shortages in hospitals where patients and doctors really need them. There's also some debate about whether it causes you to touch your face more and increases your risk of infection. The American public is just not used to wearing masks like this. All right, next fact check. Is COVID-19 a government-created bioweapon?
There's even US senators that are trying to say that there's a potential for bioterrorism here. There is no evidence of this.
I've had a lot of experience in this area, and so I bring that to the table and I tell you there is no evidence whatsoever that this is a bioweapon or that it was accidentally released from the Wuhan lab.
A big rumor I hear in the US is that China created this virus in the Wuhan lab, and they were planning to use it for bioterrorism. And over in China, I'm also hearing a lot of these rumors. The US created it, and they wanted to cripple China's economy, so they put this virus in Wuhan. But how can we be reasonably certain?
Today, with the genetics we have on these viruses and how we can do testing, we can almost date them, almost like carbon testing. This thing clearly jumped from an animal species probably the third week of November to humans.
Did this virus actually come from the US? How do we know?
Even the coronavirus has substrands within it. They're tested. That's how they know where some of them come from and others don't. You can track the evolutionary changes in it in one region of the country versus another to help you track where it ultimately came from. So it looks like this one actually came from the center of China. What's the name of that town? Wuhan. Wuhan, China. And when they species jump, it's a brand new pathogen in our civilization, and that'll just keep happening.
So, conspiracy theories with no physical evidence, or scientific consensus with lots of physical evidence. You decide. Next question. Have there really been that many flu deaths in the US this year?
Just this flu season, there have been more than 19 million cases of the influenza virus. There have been over 180,000 hospitalizations and over 10,000 deaths.
Yes, it's true. There have been a lot of flu cases, a lot of problems, and a lot of deaths. I keep seeing this one in the news too, that some of the flu cases in the US last year were actually COVID-19. And maybe COVID-19 came from the US. I've seen a lot of people talking about this news report where Pan Huaizong claims we can tell the virus came from the US and was probably responsible for the e-cigarette deaths in the US in September. Many people have come out and spoken against it, who clarified in public that Pan's comments have no scientific basis. And since very few, if any, scientists or medical researchers have come out in support of his comments, and in fact many have come out against it, it's very likely his comments have no scientific basis. What about other news reports, like this one, regarding the shortage of COVID-19 testing kits in the US?
If somebody dies from influenza, are we doing post-mortem testing to see whether it was influenza or whether it was COVID-19?
There is a surveillance system of death from pneumonia that the CDC has. It's not in every city, every state, every hospital.
So we could have people in the United States dying for what appears to be influenza when in fact it could be the coronavirus or COVID-19.
Some cases have been actually diagnosed that way in the United States today.
So it is true that some COVID-19 cases have been misdiagnosed as the flu. But what he's talking about in this video is very recent, not from last year. It's also true that not everyone who died from the flu was examined, although many of them were. What I think this uploader is trying to say maybe is that COVID-19 was actually the flu from this crazy flu season, and it actually all started in the US. It's an interesting theory, but if you want to be internally consistent in your thinking, then you have to believe these things are true. A, 19 million cases in the US, not one doctor caught it. B, 10,000 deaths in the US, not one coroner caught it. C, even though the COVID-19 mortality rate is at least 2%, it had no effect on these misdiagnosed cases.
The seasonal flu is 0.1 to 0.2% lethality rate.
D, that it started in the US and it was really bad and it did not spread to nearby countries, but then it randomly appeared in Wuhan where it really started spreading and going to other countries. E, the DNA sequence, which we can track, is incorrect. And F, that almost all the doctors and scientists that are studying COVID-19 are all wrong. If you believe all of those things are true, then congratulations. You are internally consistent with your thinking, but you're almost certainly wrong. A Chinese doctor had this to say, 我认为这种可能性不大，不可能对新冠肺炎和流感区分不开的。Next question, has there been an increase in racism in the US toward Asians because of the coronavirus?
So my patient, who happens to be of Asian descent, people stopped sitting next to them because they're worried about this coronavirus because it comes from China. And that's just really disappointing. That type of xenophobia doesn't belong here in the US. We're better than that. We should not be racist. We should not be labeling anyone. And I hope that we can all do better.
Yes, unfortunately, this is true. A lot of Asian people on social media are reporting being stared at People won't sit next to them. I have some Asian American friends who have also experienced this. I don't know how widespread it is, but it certainly has increased. Not acceptable. Do better, America. Next question, does the US have the outbreak under control?
We have contained this, I won't say airtight, but pretty close to airtight. We've done a good job in the United States.
No, we did not contain it. No, it's not even remotely close to airtight. But to say on national television that this is contained? No!
Simply put, no, we don't have it contained. Are we prepared? Let's look.
You know, we are not prepared at all. Now, that was so obvious that was going to happen, and yet we don't prepare. Think about the issue with defense. You know, we prepare all the time well in advance. We don't build an aircraft carrier at the moment we think we're going to go to battle. We look at what all do we need. We don't do that in public health. We've tried. And people may die in healthcare facilities, hospitals, because we don't have enough nurses or healthcare workers. Why have to make that decision all of a sudden? We could have planned for that a long time ago.
Unfortunately, we're not prepared as well as doctors and scientists hoped. So what's the result of all this? Are we running out of things in our stores? Let's have a look.
It fuels fear, panic. It's the reason why toilet paper is off the shelves in so many countries. Why hand sanitizer is $80 for a little container on Amazon.
Let's go to the store and have a look.
So here we are at my local supermarket. Let's go in and see if the rumors are true. Let's have a look. Yeah, it is. You can see this is never like this. It's almost completely empty. There's still some left. Now, where do you think the hand sanitizer is? Well, it was here. You can see now they have a sign. Because of increased demand, customers are limited to 2 of each item, hand soaps and sanitizers. Apologies, we're out of this item. We're out of hand sanitizer and we're running out of paper.
So is Amazon.
Amazon.
Okay.
What do you feel about this whole thing? Are you worried?
There's a lot of things to be afraid of.
Yeah.
Lions,
Coconuts falling. Trump.
people have always
Yeah.
Next question, is it true the US has a shortage of COVID-19 test kits?
We do not have enough test kits.
Yes, there's articles being written every day. Hospitals are crying out for these test kits. It's creating big problems, and it's only just catching up right now. So in conclusion, should we be afraid? My favorite person on Twitter, a British rapper named Zuby, said this: people should be far more concerned about obesity, suicide, and the opioid epidemics than they are about the coronavirus. But that doesn't fit the narrative. So I'll be the bad guy and state the obvious. People worry about whatever the media tells them to.
There's been many headlines in media that are trying to scare you into panicking because it urges you to click. And when you click, they earn money. Do not fall for this. Look for reputable sources like the CDC or WHO.
I try to get my information from the CDC and the WHO. They're not perfect, but it's still the best we have.
And I urge the media, please be responsible in your reporting. Get a doctor on board. Get a researcher on board to talk about what's going on with this novel coronavirus.
And I would extend that to people on social media, such as myself. I really want to try my best to be objective and honest, no matter what the topic is.
All it takes is if you don't know and you're not an expert, allow the experts to speak on it. Stop with the misinformation.
What do scientists think?
I think we're in the middle of a massive experiment worldwide. The experiment is, will people listen to scientists? So are you going to listen to the warnings of scientists, in this case, medical professionals? You wash your hands, do sensible things.
As for me, yes, I'm going to listen to them. I want to be healthy, I want my family to be healthy, and I don't want to live in fear and share misinformation. I'm just a teacher, so don't listen to me. Do your own research and be honest in seeking the truth.
I want you to keep this phrase in your head. Alert, but not anxious.
Alert, not anxious. Well said.
I'd say, though, that a life lived in fear is a life half lived.
I agree, and I've decided not to live my life in fear. But I do want to thank all of you out there who sent me a nice message, who were worried about me here in the US. I'm doing fine, and I hope you are too. What other crazy conspiracy theories are out there? Leave me a message below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, leave a like, share this video, and I hope you all stay very safe. 我是麦克老师，下次再见。